Well, good evening, beautiful people of the interwebs. Welcome once again to the Studio Rats live Q&A this week with our special guest all the way from Lafayette, California, and I bet he's impressed I remember where he lives. Please welcome from Working Class Audio, Mr. Matt Boudreau.
Hello, everybody.
Push your button.
James. Thank you, Paul.
Push your button. It's pressed. There it is. It's happened. It's done.
Very quiet. His button. Sorry, Matt. James has this button he pushes, and it's like he has like sound effects. He loves it. He loves it, and it's very quiet.
It is quiet. It sounds like it's almost coming through your mic.
Oh, yeah. I'll stop.
There we go. There we go.
Good evening, Matt. Great. Good afternoon, I should say, from where you are in the world. I got that right, didn't I?
You did 100%. Man, spot on.
What's the weather like over there?
It's blue skies, 51 degrees Fahrenheit. It's quite comfortable outside, actually.
Thanks. Yeah, we're all in jumpers, and I have to show this off at this point.
Look at that.
I am the person who bought the first piece of Studio Rats merch.
You can't really see it. It's funny. Does it show up? Is it just the camera? Because it looks.
It's a bit dark. I should have gone for a lighter color hoodie and the darker color text, or they should have done it dark text, dark hoodie, light text. But that wasn't an option. So hey.
No, maybe I've got to look at that. Safety and filler in the house.
Yeah, guys. The faithful are amongst us already. Matt, just to get on this one early doors, how is all things COVID affecting you? Are you like all of us in this world? We're all totally used to being locked away in small rooms for long periods of time. But how are things in California right now?
Well, if you watch the national news or the world news or news about the United States and California in particular, we are kind of a hotbed for COVID. Emergency room beds are running out. It's pretty dire here. And, I'm not going to try to explain why I think why. I'm not 100% sure why we just can't get this thing under control, but it's pretty bad here. So as far as our family, it's affected us just in the way that we're used to traveling at this time of year. Typically, we would be in Michigan this time of year with my wife's family and many cousins. So my two boys are a little disappointed that we're not there. So it's strange to be home in the holiday times when you're used to being out. So, you're on vacation in your own home, and that's a little strange. Work's been fine though for all of us.
Yeah. Good.
Are schools still open with you, or are schools closed, or
we're on a 2-week holiday?
But I mean, normally when not on holiday time, are schools open and everything's normal and stuff?
Yeah. In non-COVID times, we would be off for 2 weeks at this time of year anyway. So, the kids are just, what can I say? They're on their computers a lot.
Your bandwidth is taking a bashing.
That's right. We had to up the bandwidth, and I had to connect everybody with Ethernet to make sure that we all got the throughput that we needed for whatever it is we're doing. So
that PlayStation's not going to play itself.
That's right. Yeah.
So I've got a million things to ask Matt, but out there, the 8 of you who've joined us, make yourself known, join in the conversation. If you've got a question for any of us on drums, hey, we can talk drums, Matt.
Oh, poor
we can
Paul.
alienate the guitar player even more.
Well, you're probably going to alienate all of the listeners as well, but go for it, guys.
So what I want to know is, Paul and I are both Working Class Audio alumni.
Mm-hmm.
How did it all get started, though? What was the driving force behind Working Class Audio and the podcast and all that sort of stuff?
It all derived really from just fumbling or, mismanaging a studio experience. Thinking that I could do it, one, all on my own, and two, not be affected by the economic downturn. That this was all taking place between 2007 and 2012. And, to make a long story short, I pretty much got my ass kicked, and I had to not renew my portion of the lease. I had to get off the lease prematurely. I came to my building partner and I said, look, man, if I don't get off this lease, this is going to spell trouble for me and my family. So he said, family comes first. Let's figure it out. And we got me off the lease, and we got a friend of ours to take my place. And the lessons learned and the frustrations from that experience translated into me formulating a new idea of how to operate. You know, I had all these grandiose plans in my head of what I thought was going to work. And then at the end of the day, I decided that it was best to downsize and approach things with a working class perspective and treat it more like a plumber or an electrician would. And I created the term, working class audio, or I thought of the term, and I started to apply that to my mindset. And then I thought, well, I have to figure out more. How can I learn more? I want to ask my friends and my peers questions. And I, came to the conclusion that a podcast was the best way to do that. That gave me kind of a license to ring people up and say, how are you surviving? How are you doing this? And, 6 years later and well over 300 episodes later, still going strong.
One of those quickly, definitely.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a good run. It's been a great learning experience, and I've learned a lot, and I've learned how to survive.
Do you still do like all the audio stuff, or have you is that now your main focus, the podcast and running that?
Yeah, I do still do audio stuff, although my tracking dates are few and far between, not just because of COVID, but they were dwindling before. And so it's mostly driven into mixing, mastering, and audio cleanup work for people is really what I'm focused on. And one of the things that I preach in my show, and more so now than ever, and it applies really to COVID and everybody out there who's trying to be whatever kind of professional you're trying to be. I talk about diversification, about not just having a single point of failure, not just one gig, but multiple gigs to bring in multiple sources of income. So I, have my audio work. The podcast is one form of income through sponsors. Although that's kind of left to its own. It's kind of self-sufficient. I don't really pay myself from that. And then I do contract work for Universal Audio on the side, testing plugins and virtual instruments lately for Luna. And, those three things kind of keep things going. And then I'm working on other things to expand working class audio. So we'll see how that goes.
I think it's quite interesting what you said early doors, though, about trying to treat the music and recording, let's call it the music industry, just because that's the generic term, as much more of a business stroke a job. Because I think we're all guilty of that. Oh, it's fabulous. It's not like a real job. We don't have to worry about hourly rates or anything like that. But the answer is actually, yes, you do. You do have to work out, is it worth me spending 8 hours doing this thing for the 150 quid, $200 that I'm going to get paid? Well, if you need $200, it's worth it. If you're trying to pinch that against an hourly rate and you have overheads and you have financial commitments that you have to make, if you ain't making the bottom line, go and be a plumber or a whatever the other thing, or say, as you also mentioned, diversification. It is the key. I think the three of us are testament to that. We've all say as a drummer and as another drummer that way, and as a guitar player, we all do. We say I still play. I know Paul. We play in the band as well. Matt, you're still playing presumably from time to time?
No, I haven't played in a number of years. Actually, the last gig I was doing was purely to derive income, and it was a live band karaoke thing. And
I know.
Yeah, it was depressing. It made me realize how much at this age, with where I'm at in my life, I do not like being in crowded bars. COVID or no COVID, I don't like being in crowded bars. And it was just, as a drummer, James, I mean, it's like you're hauling your crap for very little pay. and it was very difficult. And when I was able to replace that income and kind of level up a bit and dump that, that was a great victory for me.
Yeah, I hear you. I must admit, I took the very conscious decision to stop gigging with the band I've been with for 14 some years when we had children. And it did feel weird going from 150 odd gigs a year to 2. That was a very strange sensation. Although funny as it may seem, though, I'm actually craving a pub gig or a bar gig or just to play the sort of music. I think it was yes, I've done those kind of bandyoky, rockyoky gigs, and as I said to someone, I've been playing drums for 30 something years. I haven't spent that much time to have some moron come up and murder Mustang Sally or something like that.
The general public should not be allowed anywhere near a stage.
No,
well, and truth be told, you know, having to think on your feet for songs that maybe you think you know, like I've been on stage where I've had to do Rush songs that I just didn't know. You think you know, and then you get up there and you completely embarrass yourself. And that wasn't fun.
No.
But I have to admit, you know, we were joking about, you know, talking drums. I have been online looking at drum sets, and I don't have the space for a drum set here, but I've been contemplating an electric kit for some time. I don't know if I'll pull the trigger on that anytime soon, but yeah, it's something that's on my mind constantly. I need to play. I need to get that part of me out through my limbs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something it's in your bones, isn't it? I mean, it is a part of you. I try and play every day. I try and play some drums and some guitar every day, even if it's badly, which is often the case. I try and do something constructive or try and learn something, or at least once a day. Doesn't always work out, but you know that's the intention. And obviously with Paul constantly churning out new ballads for me to play.
Ballads. Oh, I love a cheesy ballad, Matt. I love it.
Yes, the latest song's actually quite fast. I was like, yes, at last. Wow. I think we've already got 3 fast ones on the album so far.
It's all right. It's all right. I'll tell you what, Matt, we did with this song, we decided to, or actually, I decided to see if we could do a complete song, just recording, mixing, and everything just on an iPad to see if it's possible. It was an interesting process, actually.
What software did you use to do that?
Well, you haven't really got a lot of choice. There's only like there's really sort of 3 DAWs. And when I say 3 DAWs, they're not like what we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
They're quite basic. So Cubasis 3 was the choice, and it's all right. You know, I think there was like, apart from a couple of little things which were quite fiddly, there was, and you know, not being able to send like effects to effects. So if you've got like delay and you want to then, you know, send the delay to a reverb, you can't do that. And sort of multi-bus stuff. So for instance, if you've got like, I don't know, your drums subbed to a, you know, to a subgroup, and then you want to send them somewhere else as well, or, you know, do some parallel processing, that becomes a bit complicated. But no, it was all right. And it's amazing like how much you can do on an iPad.
Yeah, I have an iPad Pro, and I bought Cubasis, and I actually bought the company that does FabFilter. Is that FabFilter?
Yeah. They're amazing. Exactly the same.
Yeah, bought that whole suite of plugins and have been playing around. It's rather difficult to figure out like all your typical DAW moves you're used to, whether you're on a Mac or a PC. To bring that to an iPad and try to figure it out it's been a little bit of a challenge for me.
Have you got have you tried the Eventide plugins as well?
I haven't.
So the Eventide plugins are the same plugins that are in their H9000, and they ported them over to the iPad as well. It's great. You just get so much, you know, like I think the next generation of iPads, and apparently Logic is going to be ported over, the full version Logic to iPad. It's going to be such a fantastic mobile solution.
I was playing around with GarageBand the other day and found it quite easy to use. And I thought, when does Logic come? So this is good to hear.
Yeah.
The other thing I've had good luck doing is I have a Grace headphone amp over
Nice.
here. I've successfully hooked up to my iPad. I also have a Sound Devices Mix Pre 6 that I'm actually talking to you through right now, and I've had luck hooking that up as an interface in Cubasis before. So it's really interesting, the possibilities that the iPad brings to the recording and the music thing.
Yeah.
I think that there's a mental hurdle to get over, isn't there? It's not these days a technical hurdle. It's a mental one. It's like, how can this thing that is in the palm of my hand, that quite frankly, it started off as an e-reader and a website browser 10 years ago now? Our iPad's 10 years old?
It's more than that, mate.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. I reckon it's about 15. I reckon iPad 1 was about nearly 15 years. Probably 30.
We still have an iPad 1.
Yeah.
I've got
vintage.
I've got an iPad 2. In fact, it must be longer than that, because I got my iPad 3 when I was working with Avid, and I haven't been with Avid for 11 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it must be a lot more than that. But so bizarre that this thing used to be a glorified web viewer, and now I remember starting using Aria was the first sort of DAW-esque software for iPad. And then when say talking with you, Paul, about it being Cubasis now, I was like, that's a real step up. The thing I remember for iPad was amazing was the MSI 2020 synth.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. I've still got it on my iPad 3. It's that good. It's such a good synth. I
keep the iPad 1 around just because it still has the Brian Eno apps on there, Bloom and I can't remember. There was two. There was Bloom and something else. But
awesome!
Very cool.
Still have those. Do you think it's a generational thing for all of us that like we're not just jumping right in? Like we there's a mental barrier, as you talked about, James. Like seeing the iPad and go, well, how do I do a DAW on this? How does this work? I wonder if that's just an age-related thing for all of us.
Yeah, it could be.
Because we're all of a similar age, I think.
What, mid-30s?
You get early 20s, right?
Yeah, of course, mate. Yeah. So sticking with all things DAW or not, because I don't think they were calling it a DAW. They're calling it an audio recording solution. Luna, what was your impression of Luna? Obviously, you've been involved pre the launch at NAMM, but it's been quite a ride since then. I mean, since version 1 that launched, it's nearly a different program. You know, there's been so much added to it and so many extras and stuff come along that you think this is gonna fly. A year. I mean, we're nearly a year into Luna. Yeah. That's pretty impressive what they've achieved.
Well, now, I mean, there's obviously only so much I can say being a contractor, but I will say this. It's got a lot going for it, especially with Pro Tools key commands right out of the gate. That's a great starting point for anybody, you know, coming from the Pro Tools part of the DAW world. And as far as development, I can tell you that people are working very, very hard there, nonstop, with an eye for detail to make sure that it grows. And it's growing like day to day, it's growing.
Yeah.
So, you know, what it was, as you said, what it was when it started versus what it is now, it's definitely much more mature. And what it will be, you know, in the coming years, it could be a real problem for Avid. I'll tell you that, because Avid's it's a long-standing program that has most of the market share, but Luna is a very powerful thing that's only going to get more powerful as time goes along.
And I still think the incredible thing about Luna is it's free.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got to buy into an interface, but once you get over that, it's free. Obviously, there are upgrades and paths and various bits and pieces, but primarily, it's a free DAW. It's a free recording system, should I say? Sorry,
yeah.
UA.
Yeah, it's it's a solid system for somebody to get started with. And the thing is as you're learning it and the key commands and most of the things that you do will translate into Pro Tools. So you're getting into both unknowingly. So like I say, it's a maturing program. And I think that, if I was to go and put together a mobile recording rig, not necessarily to go record live gigs, but to go and record somebody in, like, I don't know, a barn in some part of the country somewhere, I would take a rack of Apollos and Luna and reduce my footprint to that, because you got your mic pre's, your converters, you add a pair of speakers and some headphones, and you're good to go.
I think it's a great system.
Yeah, one of our first projects during lockdown part 1 was a song which we would have done in a studio had there not been this little global pandemic thing getting in the way. We did a song entirely in Luna. Similar idea to I think that's where it started, wasn't it? This whole giving yourself a limiting factor of Luna. Not really a huge limiting factor though, was it?
It wasn't really limiting. I didn't find it limiting. There's a couple of things, but I think Luna's. I think the way that they use the Neve and the mix extension things, I think they're fantastic. Sound great. I love the Neve.
One of the things early on I was asked to do, and this was actually it was about a year ago. I took a break from the U82 plugin team, and in the holidays a year ago from now, they said the Luna team brought me on and said, we need you to just start mixing, just mix and go through the paces that you would normally go through and start reporting things that you're seeing. And I brought in a track, and mixing in it was a real joy. Even a year ago, it was a real joy. And I thought, wow, why is this coming together so quickly? What is it about this? And sonically, it just had this, I don't know, there was something about it. It was a different experience than what you get out of Logic or Pro Tools, sonically speaking. So, yeah, I mean, I could talk all day about how great I think it is and what I think it's going to be in years to come. But I think it's a solid thing.
Yeah. I think it's interesting when people say all DAWs sound the same. Luna doesn't.
No.
It's got a I think it's a mid-range thing. It's a kind of a gluiness that makes everything just work together.
Yeah, what I found, my observations, because I took a guy's song and mixed it in Luna, and granted this was an apples to apples comparison, but I mixed another one of his songs in Pro Tools, one in Luna. And the thing that struck me right from the get-go is I thought the top end of this sounds smooth. There's something easygoing about this that's not harsh on the ears. So no, I would disagree. I don't think all DAWs sound the same. Or I disagree with those who say that.
Yes. Yeah. Quick shout out to Gerald out there. Happy Christmas to you too, buddy. Questions. Get your questions in. We want to hear from you. Otherwise, we're just going to talk about Christmas and eventually we will talk about drums. We will get around to it, and I'll get full on nerdy with it.
Well, there's not many people here. Just do your drum stuff. Just get it done.
Like I said, I've been looking at drum sets, and I feel like a little kid again. When I was, a young lad, I was, I would get the J&R Music World catalog as a kid. Actually, it would come to one of my older brothers, and I would just.
Oh, Matt's frozen. Oh, he's frozen.
It's a good frozen spot.
It is a good frozen. It looks like he's thumbing his way through.
Don Tucker Jr. Hello, mate. Hi, all. Thanks for your Katana videos. Question for Paul. Just while Matt is.
Matt's frozen.
While Matt's frozen. Any possibility you have tried to match Katana presets? Oh, Matt. Sorry. Are you back?
I'm back.
He's back. We just got a question in. Any possibility you have tried to match Katana presets with the Waza Air headset presets? I've never tried the Waza Air headset, I'm afraid. I'll have a chat with Boss actually, see if they'll lend me a pair, see if I can do some stuff with it. But that would be great. I imagine they're Fairly similar.
What are they?
It's a set of headphones,
Right.
very similar to actually. God, this is weird because very similar to the way that Apple have just done their AirPods Max,
Right.
in a way that you can basically have an amplifier behind you, and you turn around. You can look at you can basically follow the amplifier with your head. So it's got that sort of AR sort of technology in it and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really interesting idea. Yeah. I'll have a chat with Don. I'll have a chat with Boss, and I'll see if they can lend me a pair, and I'll do that. Sounds good.
Cool. So Matt, you were about to flick through the catalog when we lost you.
Just looking at the JNR Music World catalog as a kid, looking through old 70s Ludwig drum sets with these ridiculous setups. And now here I am, looking through Sweetwater and Reverb and all the other companies out there and just looking at, random drum sets, mostly from Tama, just because that's what my first drum set I had as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And just drooling and thinking, do I need another drum set? Even though there's 3 or 4 in the shed out in the backyard.
Oh, you've still got your old ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have a 60s Green Sparkle Ludwig in there.
Oh,
We
nice.
have a Ludwig Questlove Breakbeats kit that came from one of my kids.
Nice.
We've got a oh gosh, I can't believe I'm going to space on another name here. The name of the company that Natal Drum.
Mm-hmm.
Got a beautiful kit out there that I got from
the new kit as well, then presumably from Natal.
It is. It actually was from several years ago. I was thinking I'm just going to dive right back into the whole drum thing, and I thought, okay, if I can get myself some free cymbals and a free drum set, then that would be what I would do. And I made a couple phone calls, and the next thing I know, I was talking to a Natal rep, and he said, "Well, okay, so so and so, what should we send you?" And I said, "Well, ideally it'd be kind of like this," but he said, "Well, let me see what we got laying around." And they sent me this incredible drum kit.
Nice.
And I went out to the Istanbul Mehmet warehouse in Los Angeles and met up with an old friend, Pam, who used to work for Rhythm Tech and who I knew years ago. She said, "Pick out a set of cymbals, sit down, take the next couple hours and tell me your cymbals." So I had like all of this together, and that's all still out there.
Very nice. Very nice. So actually the electric kit would purely be to appease the family and presumably the neighbors.
Yeah, it would be for that, but it would also be just for the pure experimentation of trying out, Superior Drummer on a set of pads, which is something I'm dying to do, which I haven't done yet.
I did it back on. I actually had God, this is going back some time now. I had one of the first Yamaha DT Express kits, and I used that with Superior. And this is going back 10 odd years. Superior 1 it was, and even that was amazing. To trigger real sounds. And I remember being at I think it was one of the music shows in London when there were still shows. And do you know David Haynes, the guy who plays on the finger pads?
Oh, yeah.
He's played with, I think he Arrested Development was his gig for a while on Real Kit. But Toontrack had an acoustic sized kit set up on their booth with mesh heads and triggers and stuff and sort of plastic cymbals. And then David Haynes on this kind of Korg nano finger pad thing.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen that guy.
And there's me playing. He sort of beckoned me over and we started chatting and he said, "You come and sit on that kit and we'll jam." And I'm basically sweating my off, trying to keep up with this guy, giving proper kind of fills and licks and stuff on a full-size kit, and he's sat there like this,
like Mr. Burns in The Simpsons.
Yeah, absolutely. But amazing, absolutely incredible technique. I mean, and say he plays real kit as well, but just to be able to sit there, and I've seen him then at sort of pretty much every NAMM show since. We always get together and have a chat and just catch up for a bit, but that was my first experience of playing samples rather than just using them in mix or whatever.
Yeah, like is there much latency, or was there a lot of latency with the kit?
Not a great deal. Say, because I was using it there was a thing called solo mode. They used to have a secondary application that wasn't a plugin. It was just the drum sample. Yeah, like a standalone version of Superior. And that then spoke to your interface or whatever, or your sound card for your audio. And it didn't, the latency was really, really, really super low. It's much better these days. But even back then, you could gig on it, no problem.
The sounds are just amazing. You know, I've got Superior Drummer 3 and the Bob Rock extension.
Oh, awesome.
And I love how those sounds are. And I think, why bother with an acoustic kit when I'm just going to play here at home and maybe play on an occasional recording here at home? And that's really what
I don't know about you, Matt, but I mean, drums are my Achilles heel in the studio. It takes me everything else like through mixing, but drums just takes me, and I'll do something, and then I'll think, oh, that sounds all right, and then I'll come back a couple of hours later and I'll think, no, I still need to work on that. Still need to work on that. Drums are just so hard to mix.
Yeah. Well, I might know a good drummer there that is local that you could work with.
No, it's my drums he's having problems mixing.
No. No, everything comes together eventually, but it's for me, there's never a thing with vocals. You know, some people struggle with vocals, I guess. Some people struggle with other things, but for me, it's always that sound, because I don't know, maybe we growing up in the 80s, you know, there were some amazing drum sounds that took
also
to achieve, and that's you know, maybe what we aspire to always try and get.
And also the fact that you don't like me playing my Uber Rock mega kit. You want one up, one down, and a couple of cymbals.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
Nah.
Yeah. How many toms do you have on your kit, James?
Don't get me started.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. My Natal kit at in its current state has one up, two down.
Perfect.
Well, but you know, I could always use a set of octabands, or as I chimed into your last episode, some rototoms is my guilty pleasure.
I asked, I think I might have said this last week, I actually tried to find out from Sonar whether they would make some octobans in the same timber as that one, and they can't do it because the diameter of the drum won't work, which is generally why octobans are acrylic as opposed to timber. Which is a shame, because it would be like a 4-inch or 6-inch drum, which is really tiny to get to the curve, apparently.
Yeah.
Phil says, seeing as we don't have a James Ivy on speed dial, do you have a drum plugin any drum plugin recommendations?
Well, you can have James Ivy on speed dial if you want. Just email me and I'll play on your track. You know, there is some crossing palms with silver, but I will play on your track for you, Phil. Superior is the one for me. The guy, I've known the guys at Toon Track for years, and their stuff just it sounds amazing. The new tracker feature that they brought in the latest version is absolutely out of this world. If you just want to, they put a drum part in and then augment it with, or replace it even with samples, it's incredible. It's absolutely off the chart.
I completely want to back you on that, because I have some 1/4-inch 8-track reel-to-reels of an old band I was in that I've been carrying around for years, and I finally got a hold of the Fostex 8-track to transfer them, and I transferred them over, and I had a stereo mix of my drum kit, popped that into Superior, and just track by track said, okay, let's get the kicks, let's track the snares, the toms, the cymbals, and then dump that into a Pro Tools session and mix that with the original stereo drums. Incredible.
Really?
Yeah. Incredible.
Wow.
In fact, Darby, who was on a couple of 3 weeks ago, works with the guys at Toon Track, and he actually came over here and we sat and worked out a tracker session for Production Expert a million years ago. Well, when did the latest version of Superior come out? 18 months.
Years.
Yeah. And we sat here and we said, well, I'll play a version and then we'll superior it up and replace the kits and see if you can tell which is the real kit versus which is the fake kit, the sampled kits. Sorry, fake kit, dirty word. And I could tell, but it was, I could tell because I knew which one it was, but it was a real challenge to hear. And I think that the thing that's the giveaway, it's not the drums and it's not the cymbals, it's the hi-hats. Because hi-hats, there is so much variation in what your left foot, if you're a right-handed player, or vice versa, if you're left-handed, in what that foot can do to those two cymbals. And that's where the difficulty in hi-hat recreation comes from. If you're just doing goo-goo-cha, goo-goo-cha, it's not too bad. But if you're trying to be a bit more sympathetic, that's my technical drumming term there, goo-goo-cha. If you're trying to be more sympathetic with that hi-hat, it takes a lot longer. But actually, Tracker does a really good job.
So literally, you can just feed in your stereo drum track, and it will retrack.
Yeah,
the whole kit.
You got to go in and massage it a bit, but I mean,
it's part by part. So you basically say to Tracker, "This is the kick." You're listening for the kick drum, and it will go in and find what it thinks the kick drum is. And occasionally there's an extra trigger or whatever, but you can get rid of those. You can then find, say, there's a particular snare hit that's also causing the kick drum to trigger. You can go in and edit all those out in one go. The next pass, you might say, right, let's do the snare drum. And then the next pass, you do the toms and the overheads and the hat or whatever. It is really, really impressive.
And then you can export that as individual MIDI tracks or a combined MIDI track, drop that into Pro Tools, pull up the Easy Drum, or not the Easy Drummer, excuse me. I was reading that question. The Superior Drummer, bring that plugin up, and then you could say, well, let's try a different snare drum. Let's try a different kick drum. But you still have all those trigger points, and you can just dial it in sonically with the right sounds to match your song.
That's amazing.
It's really, really
question from Safety actually says, would you recommend an upgrade to Superior Drummer? I find Easy Drummer really easy.
Yes, absolutely. Best money you'll spend this side of Christmas.
Yeah, really super powerful. I have a it'll be out at the hopefully at the end of January. I have a drum sample course coming out, and I highlight Superior Drummer in that, and I think it's just one of the most brilliant pieces of kit out there. It's fantastic.
God, what an amazing time we live in.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first saw it do it, I went, that is amazing. I actually, proper jaw on the floor moment.
It's almost getting to the point where you could really have just like a bunch of cardboard boxes that have triggers on them.
Yeah, totally.
Well, when you think that most metal tracks
that's true,
are completely re-triggered. I won't say all, but a very high percentage of metal drumming is re-triggered entirely. I remember doing some recording for a client in Southern California, and he was writing a lot of stuff for games, a lot of kind of metal for gaming. And he sent me some of his mixes that were going to go on these games and stuff. And I went, I know it's me because I know it's my style, but it didn't sound like me. It was really weird because he'd done it all very metally, and there was lots of double kick stuff and all the stuff that you don't let me do, Paul. But it was...
You know why?
Because it wouldn't suit our tracks.
That's one of the reasons. I've got plenty, and I'll give more. But anyway,
I don't understand what's wrong with doing blast beats and ballads.
It was so funny. We did a track last week. This one for the iPad track that I think will be out shortly once Paul's finished.
Right. No, it's done.
Once Paul's finished the video edit.
No, I'm. Hold on a sec. Okay, if we're getting into that, this is we're about to have a little domestic over the internet. This is see, you start something. So James, I've edited the video together, Matt, I've edited the video. So what? And again, that's all done on the iPad. So the whole
you've done the video on the iPad as well.
Yeah, the video's been done on the iPad.
That's impressive. I didn't know that. That is impressive.
So James sent me over James's footage, but James has edited all his footage together. So James has like about 15,000 cameras around him, and he decides to edit. But as opposed to cutting on the beats, which the singer did, James didn't. So there's a few. You started it.
I don't cut. You don't cut on the beat for the drums. You cut on the hits. You cut in so you either see the hit or you don't see the hit.
I know, but you normally edit. You normally edit the videos.
I know.
So
I do.
I edit the video, so you normally have the choice of everyone else's footage. I had like one track of your footage.
I know.
You got to control the narrative, right, James?
Yeah, exactly. This is why I then send emails to people saying, right, I need you to re-record the video of that part because you didn't actually play that part in the song that's really important. I haven't got any footage of you playing that part.
Yeah,
all the time. But anyway, domestic's over.
It comes out tomorrow.
Yes, it's out tomorrow. But I thought that opening fill was going to get cut.
Why?
I thought you cut my. I thought you'd cut that.
I like that. No, I like that a lot.
Wow.
I like that. Okay. I was really surprised with the. I mean, you know, like using the effects on the iPad, using FabFilter and using actually some of the effects that come with Cubase and using the Eventide stuff. Just how much you can do. Anyway,
Michael, who actually is probably the closest thing to your next door neighbor on this call right now, Matt. He's in Antioch, I think. Is that right?
Michael Hurwitz.
Yes.
Huh.
But you might know actually because he's another regular of NAM and stuff. You may know.
Actually, if that's the Michael Hurwitz that I think it is, I used to work in some pro audio shops in the Bay Area, Audio Images and Cutting Edge. And if it's the Michael Hurwitz that's the rep,
I think it is. Yes, it is that one.
Then Michael and I, whether he remembers it or not, I remember him, and very nice guy, and
also another phenomenal drummer.
I think it is the Michael Hurwitz. Yes, SF Bay Area. Yeah, Michael. Wow, it's been years. Yeah, I used to work in the warehouse at Cutting Edge.
Cool. Rex is on and says, yes, definitely you are available. Yeah, I know I am.
You don't do anything for money.
Not anything.
Well, pretty much anything.
Most things musical or not musical.
Yeah, Gerald Tier says, I think I'm right in saying that Roger Taylor from Joanne uses. Who's Joanne?
Does he mean Roger Taylor from Duran Duran?
Joanne.
Ah,
the name of the band.
Although that would be awesome as a tribute band, wouldn't it? Joanne.
Yeah, no, it's a nice one.
I like that idea.
And the drummer from Def Leppard after his accident when he lost his arms.
Yeah.
Also.
Rick Allen's rig is incredible. Actually, his.
That was time, wasn't it? That was like before it got good.
Yeah. Some of the early Simmons stuff was horrendous, but so he lost his left arm, so he's got snare and hi-hat, but he's also got snare, hi-hat, and kick on his left foot.
Amazing.
So I mean, it's a proper tap dancing routine he does when he plays. It's amazing. It's funny actually. My first experience of triggers, it reminds me of a gig I did with a well-known duo from the north of England, who I'm not going to say out loud because most people listening won't know, and it will embarrass me. But they wanted me to recreate. They wanted the look of a real kit on stage, but they wanted the sounds off the album, and it was all triggers and stuff. And this was back very, very early days of triggers, and it was doom, doom.
Who were the duo?
They were known as PJ and Duncan back then.
So what you used to? What's the connection with you and PJ and Duncan?
I did a gig with them.
Ah, nice.
I was stepping for a mate, and it was
one and only gig.
You know when you think that you're a big shot and you've landed 2 really cool gigs and you think the phone's going to keep ringing.
Yeah.
Let me let you into a secret. The phone doesn't always keep ringing.
Did you bring too many toms to the gig?
No, it was a house kit. It was provided rig.
Did you ask for toms?
No.
Did you say, look, can I have my drum kit that looks like Simon Phillips, whatever his name is? Just like that, and they went, right, he's not the guy for us. Our big pop, you might have ruined their pop career.
well, they seem to have done okay out of it since then, so it's not a major deal.
Hey, Mike, I'll just give a quick shout out to Michael Hurwitz. Michael, hit me up on LinkedIn. Let's reconnect. I would love to chat with you.
Yes, Phil, that's the one. Ready to rumble. Yes, thank you. Yes, watch us wreck the mic. Psych.
Yeah, they had a couple of big ones.
Yes, a couple.
You know what I remember very vividly is the early days of MTV playing almost anything. And one of the great things they played was a King Crimson concert where Bill Bruford had the wall of Simmons pads behind them. And they would play, I think it was the song Elephant Talk. Maybe it was. I don't know. That's neither here nor there. But he would, play him with his hands and do this solo. And then they would get Adrian Belew off guitar onto the drum kit. And he would play this groove while Bill Bruford would solo. It was insane.
So there was a drum shop in the UK that's recently had the Bill Bruford yard sale. Basically sold off a load of Bill Bruford drums, the big yellow Tama kit, a couple of different Yamaha kits, and sort of cymbals and bits and pieces. I mean, I think it was something like 500 lots on eBay.
Oh.
Of all old Bill Bruford stuff. The kits, all the bigger kits stayed together and went to various collectors around the world. But it was quite a thing to watch. I was like, yeah, I have to admit, I'm not a big enough Bill Bruford fan to have bought into any of it. But it was impressive to watch and see what these kits went for. Ridiculous.
Do you remember he used to have the pitch pedal rototom?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He had all the toys that are like, I'm sure people laugh at drummers over, like Octobons, Simmons drums, rototoms.
The silliest one I've seen recently, and the guy is a drumming god. Sorry, Paul. But Gavin Harrison and his blow up tom, where he's got a pipe that goes into the tom, and as he increases the air pressure inside, it changes the pitch of the drum. Bit silly, but hey, he can get away with it because he's Gavin Harrison and plays like that. So
Paul's like, I've just had about enough of this.
Come on, community out there in the real world, let's get some questions in because Paul's fall asleep.
Yeah. I've got a question for Matt. Out of all your guests that you've had on Working Class Audio and Working Class Audio, and by the way, everyone that doesn't listen to Matt's podcast, you should. It's Working Class Audio. And out of all your guests, who's been your favorite?
Other than Paul and I, because you can't.
See, I'm not supposed to name favorites. Can I name a series of people?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I think James will know right off the bat who my favorite was, and that would have to be Chad Blake.
Yep.
Great storyteller, great voice for that medium too. Just when he talks, it just like pulls you right in. He sent me, and I don't know if I've told this story to you two or not, but usually a guest will record themselves and then send me the audio. So he had, like a dynamic mic there in the room, but in typical Chad Blake fashion, he had his Neumann head up here, and he sent me that track. And to just listen to his voice telling these crazy stories, and I'll relate one of them here shortly that I thought was hilarious. If you just listen to the Neumann head and the binaural aspect of that, it's mesmerizing to listen to. He tells a story of working at Wally Heider's studio in Los Angeles, and he was working the front desk, and he says the door opens, it's late at night, you get the arm in, then the leg, and then this body slowly makes its way in, and you can't really see the face, and then the arm slaps down some money on the desk and looks straight at him and says, "Ribs." And he says, that was Keith Richards coming in for a Stone session, which was just, I'm not telling it, I'm not giving it the justice that it deserves, but the way Chad tells it is just, it's unbelievable. Eddie Kramer, another great storyteller. Like from the get-go, that man is firing on all cylinders. And it's like literally, like I started recording and he's like, right, fire away.
You've got the voice bang on as well.
Yeah, he was great. But I mean, there's been so many. I mean, I learned something from all the guests. Every time I get off a call with somebody, I'm like, oh, wow, those are some great points to think about. Some unexpected, pleasant surprises. Butch Vig, incredibly Midwestern American, just so nice. Just, oh yeah, let me share everything with you. Everything, there was no secrets and just very pleasant, no ego. Loved him. He was great.
I have a Butch Vig embarrassment story that I will share because, hey, this is a safe place. At NAMM a couple of years ago, and I was with my good friend Michael Pearson Adams, who works with Waves, and Butch Vig was about to do his thing where he had the new vocal plugin coming out, and he said, "I'll introduce you." So Michael said, "Butch, this is James Ivey," and he said, "Hi, I'm Butch," and I went, "I know."
Oh, I mean, I'm sure we all have some good embarrassing stories. I saved myself from embarrassment at one NAMM show or AES show. I was at the Focal booth, and you remember Simon Coate, who worked for Focal, James? I don't know if you remember him. He no longer works for them, but he was at the booth talking to Simon Phillips, and I almost started to open my mouth and stop myself short because I was like, they're talking. This has nothing to do with you. Just sit back and enjoy the moment, and totally saved myself from embarrassment.
Simon Phillips is another. I don't say doing what we do and say working in this environment for long enough. I don't tend to do starstruck, but I did. I went completely mute when I went to speak to Simon Phillips. And the only thing that saved me was the fact that, say, for any of you out there who know what Simon Phillips looks like, you'll know that there's a very strong resemblance between me and Simon Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who he was with, to the left of him on the sort of signing autographs and stuff, went, "Bloody hell, it's your twin brother." And that was what brought us back to reality and saved me, other than amazing, was pretty much how it went. So embarrassing.
I have
was that I'm trying to think. No, I'm all right around people, I think. I must have done at some point. I'll have to have a think. Maybe I'm just stalling because I made such a faux pas.
I have a Dolly Parton story. Oh man. Okay, so it's around 1991. I'm in this band, and we are recording with Larry Hirsch at Ocean Way Studios in Los Angeles. And I need to go to the bathroom. Walking down the hall, and I see this blonde woman at the end of the hallway talking with this other woman, and they are just past the right turn to the men's restroom. And as I get closer down the hallway, I hear the voice, and I think the timing of hearing the voice and seeing the visual finally caught up to me. And at the last moment, I realized, oh my God, that's Dolly Parton in front of me. And she turned around, she goes, "Well, hello, darling." And I was like, hi. And I just dove into the restroom because I was just like, I couldn't believe that I was looking at Dolly Parton in the flesh, and was just so overwhelmed. I think that's probably one of the times I've been the most starstruck by anybody. And I left the bathroom and quickly dove back into the control room because I just couldn't handle the intensity of that moment.
Amazing. We've got a couple of questions. Andy John says, any plans to get a Next Tone special when they come out? Really keen to see if it's a big improvement over my Katana. I'll have a chat. I'll have a chat with Matt from Boss and see if they can see if they can lend me one, Andy. Yeah, it looks really good. It does look really good, actually.
Another one.
Another one. Yeah, I know. Another one.
The demand for that.
Yeah. Did you know that there's only 2 Valve factories left in the world?
Yeah, I did. They're both in Mother Russia.
No, one's in China.
And one's in Russia.
I think one's in Russia. One's in Russia, one's in China.
Because you know why, don't you?
No.
It's a revoltingly evil process to make valves. I mean, it is really it's an environmentally filthy process.
Is it?
It's really not very nice. So the fact that all us guitar players and vintage hi-fi enthusiasts all want valves, can we all use new old stock valves, please, rather than demanding new ones? And then, of course, the price of new old stocks will go even higher than they already are. But it's a really environmentally unfriendly process making valves.
Is it?
I knew that they were made and that they had factories in Russia doing that. I didn't realize the process was so environmentally damaging.
It's not nice. Don't go and hang around a valve factory or a tube factory, depending on where you're from. It's not a nice process. There's lakes of nasty things.
Wow.
Lakes that glow green in the evening with frogs with 9 legs crawling out of them. Or is that just The Simpsons? I'm not sure which. No, it's not nice.
So yes, so Andy, yes, I'll have a chat with Boss. I'll see if they can lend me a pair of the headphones and a Next Tone Special. Safety says a question for Matt actually. Listen to music mixed by Matt. Tiger Touch, the band Tiger Touch.
Tiger Touch from Portland, great band.
Recording double high gain guitars. What is your approach?
Here actually, I am gonna go and refer to. I remember what I did for that. That's right. Here, let me get back to where I'm looking at you all and not looking at these pictures. I was going to hunt down pictures of that session. Those Tiger Touch sessions, there was actually 3 guitar players. Wow. 2 of them are using traditional amps, and one of them was using a Kemper. So the traditional amps I remember were 2 mics on each. They were AEA ribbons, and they were I'll have to look up what they were. They were AEA ribbons, and instead of using the traditional 57 or 421 to complement that, I actually used Roswell Pro Audio's I think they were KU47s. They're little 47 mics.
Yeah.
Really affordable. Very small too. Like, that's the thing I love about those Roswell mics is they're tiny in their physical, just physically they're small compared to a lot of other mics, and great sound for not a lot of money. And in fact, if I can find the photo, I have pictures from that session. Oh yeah, Tiger Touch Jackpot Sessions. I recorded that at Jackpot Studios in Portland, which is of course Larry Crane from Jackpot, or sorry, from Tape Op, but that's his studio. Should I do a screen share? I've got
I'd love to do that. I will enable it here.
Let's see.
God, you're organized. That's exactly where your photos are.
Let's see. Share screen. Screen sharing is easiest with 2 monitors. Well, no doubt.
Yeah, but you haven't got to worry about controlling it. I have to worry about controlling it. So
okay, so I've selected my entire screen. We'll just select application window, and I'll select here. Okay, are we sharing?
Yeah, we will do shortly. I will now do that. There we go.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, so this is Jackpot. And most of these are black and white, but I think there's some in color. Drummer was playing a Ludwig Vistalite kit.
Nice.
And, you could see Larry's got a great host of mics there. I don't think I brought in. I had mics sent over from AEA. I think they sent us a ton of mics to try out. Some of the outboard gear. You got your Neve compressor there on the room mics. Some of this stuff might just be totally boring to look at for some, and some might find it interesting. They've got a Rupert Neve Designs board, which was great. So we could just, monitor back through the board. Some retro stuff there.
Nice.
Yep. I'm going to just kind of zoom through this outboard stuff and get to the action shots.
Burl there, is it?
Sorry?
The Burl.
You're cutting out when you're asking that.
Burl mothership they're running through.
Burl converters.
Oh yeah, Burl converters. Sorry. Yeah. Every time you were talking there, it was like dipping down. Okay. So there's one of the setups. So that's an AEA ribbon on the right, and that's a KU-47 from Roswell Pro Audio on the left on that Marshall.
Nice.
Okay, there's the other amp. So there's the answer to the question right there. It's basically there's amp number 1, there's amp number 2, which I'm glad that I took these pictures that I could share with you.
Amazing. Not that close to the grill either. Not really up, right up close to the grill.
Yeah, to give a little distance, let some air develop there. But a super fun session. I'll just kind of jump through these. There was the bass rig. Oh, RE20. I totally forgot I used that. The R88 stereo ribbon there.
Yeah.
We mic'd underneath the toms.
Wow. Yeah.
We were running just a ton of stuff. And great session. There's one of the guitar players. There's a patch bay.
Oh, no.
Yeah, a little. Yeah, it was madness. I was there I think we were there for 4 or 5 days, and it was okay. That's the end of that. So here, I'll get back to us.
Very cool.
Yeah, great studio to work at, and Larry years ago told me he was putting together a studio that was dummy proof, and it truly was dummy proof. Everything was well labeled, although I did have an assistant whose name I'm spacing right at the moment, spacing a lot of names right now, who helped me get set up really quickly and get these guys up and running. So
right.
For who was that asking about the Tiger Touch stuff?
Oh, that was Safety.
Safety. Okay. Yeah. There's your answer. Yeah. Roswell condensers and REA or AEA ribbons.
Very cool. Nice.
A couple more questions. One for me. What are your YouTube plans for 2021?
Taking over the world.
Take over.
Taking over. What are we going to do tonight, Brian? Same as usual, Pinky. Plan to take over the world.
Pretty much that. Yeah. I don't know. Actually, just to keep doing videos that hopefully people find interesting. I think it was a goal. It was a goal to get to 10,000. The aim was to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we've done. It looks like we're going to do 12,000 by the end of the year. So
my goal is to do more videos for the Studio Rats. That's my goal, and to do more of the double header stuff that we were starting to do, and then of course lockdown got in the way and stopped all that fun.
Stupid COVID.
Yeah, just give us the shot in the arm and let's crack on.
Yeah.
Matt, another question for you. What are your thoughts on the AEA R88A?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, Mike. Great for a number of things. I've used it in front, with drum sets like that. I've used it in front of pre-COVID. One of my kids plays French horn, so I will go and record the school band with it, bring a sound devices, mix pre-6 and the R88. And, that's just great because you can just quickly capture it, send it off to the band director. They have, some recording or document of that, but it's such a great mic. And of course, my friend John Cunaberti has used it extensively for his one mic recording series, which if you want to check out what that mic can truly do, John's one mic thing on YouTube is brilliant. And just, in case you're having any doubts, it is just literally that mic and straight into like a high-end signal chain and then he coordinates the film work with people so that it's just one shot, I guess, of the group, and they just do one take, and it's like a photograph. They place them in the right spots so that they get the right mix. One recording will capture everything, and you don't have to mix it. It's all done afterwards, minus a little mastering. But
is the mic static? Is it just in one place, or do they move it around for different things?
No. The mic stays in one place. They pick the right spot, and then what they do is they experiment with, okay, where should the vocalist be? Okay, the vocalist is playing a guitar. Maybe they're going to be, over here. Drummer's going to be off there. Everybody gets placed around. I've done that one time also in doing a recording in Portland at a house with a pair of, I can't remember what those old AKGs were. They were kind of ginormous cylindrical mics, kind of gray in color, low, and that maybe that's
fairly budget sort of priced.
Budget priced, kind of fat, but long, cylindrical. Did a couple of those in a backyard with a band in that same fashion, but John has taken it to another level. He really does some fantastic stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah.
If anyone's got any questions out there, we've sort of come to time pretty much. But if you've got any questions, now is the time to put them to Matt or Paul or myself. Going once. What normally happens is we sort of chat for an amount of time, then all of a sudden the last 5 minutes is boom, questions.
Yeah, this always happens. Well, one thing we can discuss is next week. Are we doing next week?
Well, I think we should.
I think we should do it.
I think because, quite frankly, we'll be desperate to get out here.
Absolutely.
Yes, we will be back next week. It'll probably be Paul and I, because everyone else will be stewing themselves on mulled wine and various other things. But it kind of really just is down to us to say happy festive season, happy Christmas, happy holidays wherever you are in the world and whatever you're celebrating. We hope that your 2020 has been as good as it can be, and that your 2021 will be more so. Hopefully we will get over the issues that we've had this year, and we're back to something a bit more normal.
Can we also say if anyone hasn't checked out Matt's podcast, Working Class Audio, please do. It is awesome. Highly recommended.
Especially the episodes with you and me, mate.
Yeah, I had those ready to go when I was chiming in remotely last time.
I was very impressed. I was like, wow, that's slick. So happy Christmas to everyone, happy holidays, and we will see you next week, and at that point we'll then say we'll see you in 2021. But for now, it's good night from all of us. Thank you again, Matt, for joining us.
Yeah, guys, thank you for having me. Great to see you, bro.
Take care, everyone, and we will see you again very soon. Good night.
Good night. Merry Christmas.